I'm Justin Sylvester, and apparently I am the man of the hour, which is beyond. There were other Justins that could have gotten this award, so I am flattered. But Justin Timberlake, Justin Thoreau, Justin Hartley, everybody must have been busy. Is that what it is?
You're tuning into the Men of the Hour podcast. If you're back for another episode, welcome back. And if you're here for the first time, thanks for joining the journey. I think this show is prided itself on guys like a Justin Sylvester, who you just heard the voice of. And today's episode is one that is very special because not only is he another entertainment journalist in the industry, podcast brother, and NBC Universal family member of mine, but another Justin. This is the first Justin to the show.
Oh, wow.
Host of... Host of one of the entertainment industry's largest networks program, Daily Pop, and his own original podcast, Just the Sip. Justin Sylvester's today's Man of the Hour. Welcome aboard, buddy. It is so good to have you on this Zoom call for the next hour. I'm excited. I love you. I've loved you since you came on television after assisting your Beverly housewife or Beverly Hills housewives, Kyle. And man, I'm just stoked for this entire episode.
I've never won anything. I feel like I've won something. Like, it's weird. Like, I know I'm here to talk, but I just feel like I'm accepting an award. And I'm gonna go with that. That's the vibe. This whole interview is I'm accepting an award.
This is your own little Oscar run. You know what, Justin? We actually are in the works. This is episode 20 something now, and we will actually be sending out acrylic award plaques to all of the guys who've been on the show with the episode that the title of your episode, and just to kind of in a thanks for being here. But yeah, this is really, it's an award because we've all heard the term, we've coined the term to several people in our lives as Man of the Hour. I was like, well, what if we launched a Men of the Hour podcast, brought the most influential men from around the world on, like yourself? Look at this.
I'm like, this
and
is,
now it's
I'm like,
you.
I'm like, are y'all sure y'all got the right person? Did y'all call and ask for Jason Kennedy or something? Like, I don't know if I am honestly supposed to be here. I'm like texting my publicist, like, I think they got the wrong person. That's what it was like. They hit me up to do this thing called The More You Know. And when I was growing up as a kid, The More You Know was a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And, I often felt like people became like, I knew when a celebrity was a celebrity because they came on your screen and told you about recycling or just saying no to drugs or, all of those things. So one time someone hits me up from NBC and they're like, oh my God, we want you to do the More You Know, PSA, and this is what it's on. And these are the dates when you're available. And I emailed back and, whenever you hit J on anything, it's Jason Kennedy and then myself, like we're right on top of one another in the talent pool. And I email back and I say, I think you were meaning to send this to Jason Kennedy. Should I forward it to him? Or do you want to just go ahead and do that yourself? And she was like, no, idiot, I'm hitting you up about doing this. I think you would be great for it. Oh, yeah. So it's all like, it's deja vu coming back to me all over again, because to me, I'm still an assistant.
Hey, now, for all the good reasons you're feeling deja vu, between the PSA that was recently during the pandemic, but then also the campaign of Bravo's, Raise Our Voices, that you were moderating a lot of talks about raising Black voices for the entire company too, in addition to being a face of E and continuing to go into the studio and broadcast entertainment news and really bring like not only smiles and entertainment to people. I think that's always been kind of the shindig of being an entertainment journalist. It was like, how many people can I make smile with all this news? Or can we inform people about what's happening in celebrities' lives? But for you, I've noticed it's really about how you can make people smile. You can make people laugh. And it's your personality. And I think you as an entertainment journalist, first and foremost, yeah, of course, the job of any journalist is to storytell, right? And to report on that news with the entertainment industry. But let's start there. When you decided to take the leap from being an assistant to a Beverly Hills housewife, which I want to talk about Lady Sitter and how that name got coined into your life too, but really then to become a host, and now you have your own podcast, and you literally Daily Pop is one of the most renowned shows in the industry. But when you made that leap, was it you being an entertainment journalist first, and then also finding ways to really bring in your personality? I've seen a lot of success for you just by bringing you to the table, by bringing Justin Sylvester to the table. I've seen that.
I'm like, I'm like, where's the casket? Am I like getting eulogized right now? Like, I don't know what is going
Jonathan Bennett
on.
said the same thing. He was like, did you just read my eulogy?
I'm like, is this like, this is just crazy, it's so interesting because whenever I decided to take on entertainment journalism, I had worked for Kyle Richards for 5 years, left
Mm,
that job, went on to produce Rich Kids of Beverly Hills for 3 seasons, left that job to go on to produce EJNYC,
yep.
and was about to take another job producing another reality show in New York. And I thought to myself, you've been here for, at the time, 7 years, and you really haven't pursued your passion of becoming a TV host. And I was always afraid to do it. I am a super Scorpio in the sense that I need a stable check coming through.
Mm,
Like if I'm living paycheck to paycheck, I just need to know that that next check is coming and it lands on the 15th and then again on the 1st and then on the 15th and on the 1st. So I need something stable, which is so crazy because I
yeah.
have a hard time working in like a real businessy environment.
Corporate yeah, yeah, I get it.
Corporate 9 to 5 is like, I'm allergic to it. I don't know how I stumbled into NBC Universal. This is all so crazy. And I gave myself 6 months. I
Mm,
was turning 30 in 6 months. I said, when I get back to LA, I'm going to put my feet on the ground. I'm going to try to figure out how to make this happen in 6 months. And if it doesn't happen in 6 months, I had a friend who worked at Warner Brothers who I was going to call and ask to just champion me into the system at Warner Brothers
yep.
and start from the ground up there, get the 401k, get all the benefits, make sure I have, whatever. And I called a few people, called in a favor, 5 months, and I want to say 20 days
Mm,
into this hinge of a dream. Like, this is, I mean, I think I would have better chances at becoming Meghan Markle than becoming an E News correspondent. Like, that's just like, there's a million people
yeah.
in Los Angeles who want that job. So I go in to audition for what I think is just like an E News job.
Mm,
And when I get in, my executive producer, Jen Lavin, who is still my executive producer on the show, stands up and gives a speech. And she basically was like, listen, we're launching a new talk show. It's going to be a 4-week run. And whoever gets it has to be available to come in to start rehearsing the following week.
mm,
And then you go live on air the week after that for a 4-week run. Um, and I had already been in for the rundown.
yeah.
I'd already went in one time to audition for the rundown. And I walked in after, as Erin was finishing
Mm,
her audition, and realized as I was getting my mic on that Erin was getting the job. Like, I knew it. Before I even went up, I knew Erin was getting the job.
mm,
She was just so good. So I had one L under my belt at that point. And I'm in the room with, like, Morgan Stewart is in the room, and every other E correspondent and host is in the room. And there are a few other familiar faces that I have seen on Access, that I had saw on ET. So in my mind, I was like, there's no way you're going to be able to out host any of these people. Like, the weakest link in here is still 3 times stronger than you at reading a prompter, at doing, research, at bringing, different elements. So I decided that when I was going to walk into that room, not only was I going to be myself, but I was going to present an idea and present a view that most people here wouldn't see.
mm, mm.
And as a TV host, you're kind of afraid to piss off a celebrity, and I know that.
Sure.
So I was just like, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna humanize it. I'm going to give it to you in the most humanizing way, and I'm gonna tell the truth. I'm not gonna
Mm,
skirt around the issue.
mm-hmm.
And I went in, I did it, and I want to say 15 minutes after I left the building, they only gave me one audition. Everybody else got multiple. Got in my car, left the building. By the time I was turning to get on the interstate, they had hit me up and said, "We don't know who else is coming, but we know you're coming."
Oh.
And that's how it all started. And it's because I went into that audition
Mm,
not trying to be the next, you know, Ryan Seacrest.
sure.
I just wanted to be Justin Sylvester because that was the only thing I knew how to do.
Mm,
And it paid off,
it did. There's
kind of.
only, yeah. If that is all we get, Justin, I would be happy, but that's not all we're going to get. I want
Right.
to
Paid off.
find out more because you're right. I think there is only one Justin Sylvester. There's only one Justin Crawford. There's only one Sam Johnson listening to this right now. Like, who knows? There's only one person and version of you that you've been spending this now 30 plus years, even though you look my age, 24. Like, you've been spending all this time working on that Justin and the best version of Justin, period blank. Why not bring that to the table 110% turnfold? And I wanted to bring up this other idea that you and I both, SEC graduates, right? LSU and
Yes.
Vols, right? Uh, that's the Southeast is unlike any other part of the country, I believe. And for you to have grown up in Louisiana, I remember that wasn't that was always something you had brought up in conversation to an extent, Justin, where you knew that your upbringing had a lot to do with the confidence level you have now and the way that you put yourself out to audiences and friends and fans. And this is the real Justin I believe we're getting this,
Yeah.
because that is what you've been able to shape and mold over the years. But having grown up in the Southeast, more specifically Louisiana, talk to us about that. Like, how did growing up in the Southeast, where at the time you weren't out as a gay man, but then
No.
growing up in a way that was kind of uncomforting or uncomfortable and misfitting for a little while, because the Southeast has its own restrictions and guidelines as to what a man looks like today, for example,
Oh, for sure. I mean, look, I grew up with two daggers on my back. I was black and I was gay in Southeast Louisiana. And I still think being black and being gay is probably a hard cross to bear.
Mm,
Mind you, in 2020, the cross is a little less heavy than it
mm,
was when I was growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s. Um, but it's funny because when I look back on wanting to get out of that place so badly, it kind of lit my fire to figure out how to make a better life
mm,
than I had growing up. I grew up with a single mother in a town where the black side and the white side were segregated by a train track, and
mm,
there was a white school and a black school, and people liked it. It was status quo. It was comfortable. Everyone knew, had expectations. The expectations were low, and for me, I just thought the world was bigger, you know, and it wasn't comfortable for me as a black gay man. And for that reason, I knew I needed to get out. I mean, if I was white and had grown up and straight and had grown up in a fairly like a like a mid-level,
mm,
family, that had income and two parents, I probably would have stayed in Louisiana because it's such a beautiful place. It's beautiful. The people are friendly whenever you live up to society norms.
mm,
It's a great place to buy a home. I know people that I graduated high school with that had $30,000 in their bank accounts, and they're living in fucking 5,000 square foot homes. And it's because it's cheap. It's cheaper there, and it's nice, and the quality of
mm,
living is nice. So there's no doubt about it. If I would have been, you know, like a cis man, straight white man, I probably would have stayed there and had a great life. But those weren't the cards that I was dealt.
mm.
And it pushed me to come to a place where I felt like I would be accepted. I could have a full and meaningful life, and I would find somebody who loved and believed in me.
Yeah. Well, we love and believe, and you listen to that. I think that when you
Thank
go
you.
and of course, when you go and take a leap of faith out to Los Angeles, even I mean, you got to think about the fact that you would have graduated from LSU and thought about your career in a different way at that time and said to yourself, I think it's time to go make this leap for my career. But not only that, I'm getting the hell out of Louisiana. And when you
Yeah.
did make that jump, now I want to fast forward to you being just getting your hands dirty in the entertainment industry, period. What did you think that leap of faith would have looked like when you first moved to LA? And then now that it's translated into all these other incredible things for you, what are your thoughts on that?
It's funny because I kind of envisioned exactly what I was going to do. It was weird. It was really weird. I don't even think I've ever told her this, but there was a episode of Simple Life back in the day when Paris Hilton had a bunch of kids swimming at her house,
Uh-huh.
and her aunt Kyle came on screen and put her foot, like there was a kid that was like struggling to get to the end of like the pool, and her aunt Kyle was like watching, as she has four young children, was watching this child like start to like pant a little bit, and she puts her Manolo Blahnik in the pool, Suede, and picks the child up and gets the child out. And for some reason I remember thinking, oh my god, I need to meet this woman. I think I was like a freshman in college at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Fast forward 3 years later, and I remember watching, E Investigates or E Behind True Hollywood
Sure.
Story,
Yep.
um, Paris Hilton. And every time they needed a family member to speak on something difficult,
It was
Aunt Kyle was the
it
person.
was there.
And it was just weird. Like I just remember, like I just remember vividly being like, wow, this woman has like her head on her shoulders, and it's so crazy. Um, so I always thought I would move to LA and I would meet not a Paris or not a Nicole. There was always going to be somebody that was like steps, on the side who was
Yeah.
doing big shit, and I was kind of moving and shaking. So I never ever thought I was going. I didn't know about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but I don't know. I always felt like I was going to meet her. It was strange. Um, and I knew at some point, I'm very honest with myself and I'm very open with myself
Mm,
about the things that I want and need in my life. And I will put them to the side until it's like that make or break moment.
mm.
And I just knew at some point I was going to cash in those favors. And I knew I didn't ask for anything over the years. I served my country, i.e., Beverly Hills, and my housewife, my first lady to the max. And I knew when I needed something and I needed, hey, I need you to put this call in because I really want to do this whole thing. And I need to name
Yeah.
drop you so I can get in the door. Don't be mad.
Sure.
She's like, whatever you need, whatever you want. So I don't know. I had a weird feeling this was going to happen.
I love that for you so much because it's like serendipity in the making without you realizing it until it happens. That's like I always say that's the universe kind of working in your favor.
Yeah, but you can't wait for the
At all.
universe to hand you anything. And I've learned this through because I like a psychic. I love a psychic, but most importantly, I love an astrologer. I live for an astrologer.
Yeah.
I had the chance to do something. Astrologer once told me that I got a fork in the road twice in my life. I was at the second fork in the road where I was thinking about potentially, going out on my own, figuring out this entertainment reporting thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And right before I did it, I called an astrologer and she was like, this is the second time the universe has given you this fork in the road. The first time you didn't choose wisely. And I can tell you that was like 3 years ago. And this time you have a choice. Are you going to continue to support other people because you will be fulfilled?
Mm.
Or will you fulfill yourself more and go ahead and really put some time and effort into yourself? And I decided to make that left and go that route. And, you know, it's crazy because you feel it. You know when you should be not doing something and when you should be doing something. And you keep on doubting yourself, you keep on doubting the process. And sometimes you just got to trust the process and you got to trust the universe. But I think this was like the perfect path for me.
I think so too. I want to talk about being an assistant with you because that was my first job at NBC and I love it. It is something that I think so long that you have a really good boss slash mentor slash friend slash you said it first lady. I have a first lady now. It's it's almost as if you know that you're there for the right reasons to support their life. And especially if it's someone like a Kyle Richards or I'll name drop here an Ann Shiner, that's my boss. And I love this bigger picture idea that, you know, people who are in a higher place in this industry, sometimes it's not about the pull and the name drop, like you'd said, save those favors for a little later. But sometimes it's the fact that you do have a lot to learn from that person, and you do have a lot of growth to be had for your career. And you'd spent 5 years with Kyle, and not just as her assistant, there's probably hundreds of other things that you had learned. And I
Yeah.
remember reading that, like, it was learning through her that you then were able to perform better as her assistant, because you knew, like, not only what she needed, but where her brand and her show and all those things were going. And then look, you ended up producing your own reality TV programming too, and that might have
Yeah.
manifested through that. So being an assistant, would you say, has its own benefits while you are an assistant, so long that you keep kind of in purview the whole bigger picture?
125%. But I think what the key is to go in with a goal. Like if you're going to be an
Hmm.
assistant to somebody, your goal should never be a monetary goal. Your
Yeah.
goal should never be um, anything other than what you want to learn and take from that person. And the second part of your goal is how are you going to make that better?
Yeah.
And, for myself, I was very lucky that I got to get on like basically a master's degree while working for her for 5 years. I got a doctorate actually while working with her. Like I could have went to fucking LSU Law. I could have went to Johns Hopkins. Like I got accepted into Stanford.
Oh yeah.
None of that money would have taught me what I learned during my time with her. And it's because I didn't go in thinking, okay, I'm going to get on the show. Like I'm going to take this, I'm going to do a spinoff, and then I'm going to have them blah, 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 because I saw a lot of people come into as secondary characters with people and they got burnt halfway through because they came in with the idea that I'm going to turn up, I'm going to show up, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z.
Mm.
For me, my first goal was, hey, I'm going to make your life easier because I'm only supposed to be with you for 3 months, but I'm going to make you keep me on for 3 years, which then turned into 5.
Five, right?
And my second initiative is I'm going to soak up every piece of information. I'm going to figure out what you want to do in your life and how I can make that better so we both can propel.
Yeah.
And I literally went at it with that attitude, and I didn't put a time frame on it. I didn't put an expectation of when I was going to get a promotion. I didn't think of any of those things. I just was thinking of when it's time to leave, you will know. And when you do leave, you better know more than what you did when you started.
Hmm.
And that's just how I went through whether it's working for an insurance agent or working for an entertainment executive or a personality. At the end of the day, you just need to know more and way more than you knew going in. Because if you work for a big person
Mm.
in any company, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have access to way more people, way more, ideas, way more documents, like all those
Mm.
things you need to soak up
Soak it
tenfold.
on up. Right.
Even the mistakes that those people make, you should be learning from those mistakes.
Hell yeah. Do you have an older brother or sister?
I have an older sister. She's completely opposite of me.
Same with my brother. And I feel like we had that opportunity growing up. If you have an older sibling too, growing up, you have the opportunity to learn from their mistakes. I remember I always used to say that, like, my brother's messing up. He's fucking up doing this. He's getting arrested doing that. Like, okay, great. I know what
Yeah.
not to do.
100%. And by the way, I always say, like, if I just do this, I'm gonna just be better than this. Because and my sister was very it sucks because my older sister is kind of sort of um she was great at everything and she was pretty. She never had an awkward phase.
Right.
Like never had like a weird like nothing. Never had a scandal. Like nothing. She was good. Like she got her ass whipped every now and then, but
Yeah.
for the most part, she went to college. She played basketball. She got a sports scholarship. My sister was a stud, and walking in those shoes are pretty tough. And I was a middle child, so
Yeah.
I kind of got lost in the fray a little bit. So I just got a lot of I got a lot of leeway to figure shit out on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike my sister who had my mother riding her 24/7,
I bet.
I was like a wild horse.
Which sometimes can be good because then you figure a lot of things out. But I also would imagine, Justin, that you get excited about, just like, I mean, I say this because I feel like we're similar in this sense. You also get excited about a lot of things too. A lot of things in our industry of entertainment and media, when you blend those two worlds together, like a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or like a E Daily Pop that covers all of it, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of,
Yes.
and then there's a lot of understanding of a lot of different things, but then whereas like the total understanding of all of it can get lost sometimes. When you were ready to become a host full time and to go to that audition at E, was there ever a moment where you had to tell yourself like, this is going to be the road and that's going to be the one option I focus on? Because again, there's a lot of sexiness in Hollywood. There's a lot of attractive jobs that we could have went after. But for you as a host now, where you're having to hyper focus on being a journalist and a personality and a podcast host, was there ever a point where you had to tell yourself like, don't worry about the other options, they'll take care of
No, fuck
themselves? And
no, no, fuck that. You need all the options.
yeah. Not the answer.
No, no,
You need
no, no, no,
options.
no. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing somebody could say is stay in your lane.
Mm,
Like when people say, like, I say pick a highway.
yeah.
Like we live in Los Angeles. We there's an 8-lane highway. Okay, you pick
You
a
mean,
highway. You don't pick a lane.
mm,
And I think that a lot of times people say master one thing and master it well. I say get comfortable doing one thing to where you can do it in your sleep and then start to pick up the next thing where you can go ahead and expand yourself because this could end tomorrow. My show could get canceled on a whim tomorrow. E could call me and say, "Hey, we're going to turn into the Animal Planet and we're going to get, Jack Corin up in here
yeah.
and you're out of a job." And starting from ground zero and starting from level one again would be too much.
Mm,
And it would just, that's not the point. The point in life is to expand. You know what I mean? Like, if you stay, oh, I'm just going to be this TV host and be the greatest TV host ever, and you put all your eggs in one basket, you're doomed.
mm-hmm.
And I think for people, I think a lot of times people think of, and especially in Hollywood, I'm going to look for the next best thing. That's not the way you should think. The way you should think is I have a foot solidly on the ground in this industry, in
Mm-hmm.
this specific area. My foot is on, right foot red and twister is on the ground.
But
I'm
you still have
ready
three options.
to, you still have three options. I'm ready to go right hand orange.
Yeah.
Slowly, but I'm ready to go to orange. And I think for me, producing, scripted television is something that I can do while maintaining
Mm-hmm.
and excelling at my primary career.
Yeah. And it's all about being in today's time too, Justin, where we have too much access to resources and applications and talent, to then uncover what I think would then be more opportunity for not only skill set and career growth, but money and learning
Yeah.
opportunity. Like you said, it's, and I wanted to go back to this too. Your job could end tomorrow, but then more, not to bring up the eulogy note earlier too, but your life happens one time, one good time if you do it
Yes.
correctly. I remember sitting in high school and I would always ask myself, it was on that cover book. I don't know if you guys did this senior year at your high school in Louisiana, but we had can you put a collage together of all these things, blah, blah, blah. I just remember on the front of that collage book being, you only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough. YOLO was the big term in 2013, 14, remember? And like,
Yes.
that is, you're bringing that to life once again, that like you really only live once. You get one shot at all these different jobs that you're able to do, so long that you can manage and balance it. I wanted to ask you about that too, because a lot of times I think people are going to revoke themselves out of trying to do more because they think one thing is enough, or one job is too much. And it's all a balancing act, I think, in the industry of entertainment and media, trying to do more. Like, I'll do this on top of two other jobs, and you do your podcast on top of three or four other jobs at pretty much full time. But when you want balance, for Justin, and you said this earlier about knowing what you want and protecting that, but sometimes putting it aside, right? Until it is a make or
Yeah.
break deal. So when you've hit those make or break deals for you and your mental health and where you want to be personally and professionally at the same time, what do you tell yourself? What kind of rituals do you might have in terms of kind of being able to do the balancing act?
The greatest word that I learned in the last 3 years is no.
I knew it. I knew it. No.
I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to say no. And for the longest time, and like when you're an entertainment reporter and you first get into a company, or if you're in a company and it's your first year
Hmm.
and you're going to work 5 days a week, they might send you on a junket at 12 o'clock on Saturday, then to go to a junket after that at 1 o'clock. And then maybe on Sunday, there might be something else to do. And then you have
Hmm.
to come back in and do it all over again. But on Wednesday, you're going to do the show and then you're going to fly to New York. You're going to film something on Wednesday night and then you're going to fly back here on Thursday and you're going to get on the show again on Thursday and then Friday. And then maybe you have a junket on Saturday. Like those things happen where
Mm.
you're finding yourself working, and you're saying yes because you don't want to disappoint.
Mm.
And at some point, you start to think, oh my God, I'm worn down and I don't know what to do. And the minute you say, actually, I can't do that, and then you hear somebody say, oh, okay, that's fine, we'll find somebody else. And you have to talk yourself out of, oh my God, maybe they were just saying that. Like maybe they're mad, like they're upset. They think I'm like the worst employee because I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. Like if people think they can get an extra 25 hours out of you, they're going to take an extra 25 hours. You know what I mean? Like, and they don't do it on impulsively. They just think, oh, he'll say yes. Like, just send him. Or like, oh, he's perfect for this. Okay, we're gonna send him here. Okay, he's perfect for that too. We're gonna send him here. And it's like before you know it, you're being sent all over the place, and people don't realize how many places you're being sent over. So if you just stop and say, hey, by the way, I'm doing 3 other things for this other person over here, and they're like, oh, we didn't even realize it. You get so afraid to say no in any situation when it comes to work. You're fearing that you're going to lose your job. You need to learn that it's okay to say no sometimes.
Mm. You
That's how you
should.
find the balance.
Yeah.
Say motherfucking no. And, you know, at this age, I'm 33 years old. If I'm not tired at the end of the day, and that
Uh,
was part of my motivation for making Just a Sip, I would go to work and I would get home and be like, okay, what am I going to do?
yeah.
Like, there's no reason why I shouldn't be thinking about the next thing or the next thing or the next thing. And I always say, like, when you're a full functioning adult with 2 children, a husband, and a mortgage, and all of these things,
Yeah.
your first job is going to be your kids. Your second job is going to be your job. Your third job is going to be your husband.
Yeah.
If you're a single dude and you only have one job, then you're not a fully functioning adult. You should have two more stakes in those fires. And once you pick up something else, like a child or a relationship that you want to really invest in, then you take one of those stakes out the fire if you can't handle all four stakes. Does that make sense?
Yes. 4 steaks. Make it 8. Dude,
Yeah,
I
if you can
love that.
handle eight, you can handle eight. Like,
You can,
I
and
don't know.
you know what you can handle, and I think that goes back to what you said about being honest with yourself. If you wanna work 4 jobs, go. Some people will be like, "Oh my god, that's a lot," but everybody's coming from different parts of the world and different like, they have their own story. Of course, they think 4 jobs is crazy, whatever, but
100.
that's theirs. That's their
And
life.
not everybody has the same dreams as you. So if you're planning on being like myself, a multimillionaire independently without starting an app or anything
Right.
else, like, or, without seed money from your parents,
Yeah.
like, you got to you have to be uncomfortable for a minute.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you sip that water while I ask this next question, but being uncomfortable is huge right now because I mean, shit, if anything, we learned in 2020 that uncomfortability is the name of how you're supposed to find out what the solutions are going to be when you can't control certain things like a pandemic or continued racial injustices or I mean, shit, people's relationships were falling apart because we were staying home too much. Some things are just out
Yes.
of your control and out of your reach to an extent where of course it's uncomfortable. So where have you found being uncomfortable not only helpful or to have allowed you to do more and learn and grow from, but to take the word uncomfortable and just kind of know that it's always going to be there, and it's something that you have to endure and appreciate to an extent.
This ain't uncomfortable. This ain't shit. Like, I grew up black and gay, as I said, in South Louisiana. That's uncomfortable. You know, the pandemic for me, honestly, being real 100, pandemic started in March, derailed a few plans that I had. I think I hit a situational depression, like a light dusty, like a it wasn't a thunderstorm, it wasn't a downpour. It was more of like a light mist during
Mm,
April and May. And once we got back in the studio, there was this energy that I got that revamped me and kind of brought the sun back in.
mm,
But it made me think that a lot of people are going to sit back and ride this thing out, which I think a lot of people should have,
sure.
and just taking the time to. When is the next time you're going to be able to sit at home, watch Tiger King, drink 2 bottles of wine, and not have to worry about anything? You know what I mean? Like, when was the last time like somebody was like, "Look, you're just going to stay in your house for 4 weeks. We are going to pay you. We're going to furlough you. You're going to stay in your house for 4 weeks, and you're going to chill out while we figure this whole thing out."
Right.
And a lot of people, unfortunately, it didn't work out like that for them. But for a lot of others, it did. So kudos to everybody who could have just stayed at home and just taken a moment out of like this rat race of a world and
Yeah.
breathe. For me, I thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna keep on running. Like,
Hmm.
if the world is stopping and everyone is stopping, why not continue to run and build and start to put these building blocks into this place? You know what I mean? Like, really, when the world opens up, you should be have a package that's ready to ship. Don't show up at FedEx with your box not assembled, with your
With no
return
label
form,
on it. Yeah.
no label on it. Like, those people. I think
Those are
about
the
life like a FedEx fucking counter. Okay. If you show up to the plate with your box ready, with the printout done, and it's all taped, packaged with the right change, you are good. And that's what I thought about the pandemic. I'm going to walk out of here with
Mm.
a better body, a fresher mind, and 5 new ideas that I can present to people so that one of them gets picked up and I have something else on the burner.
Take that fork and stick it in the fire, like you said.
You got to do it. You
Yeah.
got to have something in there.
Yeah. There's something to be said about that too. Do you think it's an entrepreneurial mindset to some extent too? I know you mentioned like you want to be able to make this X amount of dollars by yourself, right? Not by the seed of your parents and not by the, maybe some people got sugar daddies, whatever the situation might be.
Yeah, sugar
However,
daddy. Send me a sugar daddy. Okay. I'm
same,
accepting
right?
applications.
But I need you to have the label on it. I need you to have it prepared with the label on it.
Oh, trust me.
But,
It's no entrepreneurial. It's
right.
not even an
Yeah.
entrepreneurial spirit. It's I was broke once
Mm,
for a very long time, and I never want to go back there.
mm,
I never in my life want to be broke. I never want to have to work 2 jobs and still figure out like that I can't save. Like, I've never had to depend on anybody since I was 14 years old. And I just want to make sure that I get to a place where I don't have to depend on anyone because I have no one to depend on.
hmm.
And on top of that, I live in Hollywood. I work in an industry where the newer, hotter, flashier person will come in and take your spot. And that's it. Lights out
Mm,
sometimes.
yeah.
So you got to be ready. You got to be ready. You got to stay ready. And you just got to do it. Like, this is not promised today. I could get in a car accident tomorrow and have my face and come off.
That's
Knock on
all
wood.
wood. Okay.
But I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like,
of course.
it could be over, but you have to keep on running until you can't run anymore. You're in a scary movie. I'm in Halloween. I'm just running
Oh,
until I
Michael
can't run.
Myers ass. Oh my God.
Ooh,
You couldn't
Michael
have picked a
Myers.
better one. I would have picked Jason X or Freddy. You'd have picked Michael Myers to chase you. That was
No.
scary. Okay. Jamie Lee Curtis. Okay.
Give me
Justin
some
Moore.
Activia.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was asked about Halloween the other day, and I don't think I've ever celebrated it less as an adult. When we were kids, it was cute, but right now it's like it becomes too much of a reality, especially in New York. I'm sure you see the same shit in Los Angeles. Some people look like they are Halloween during.
Oh my God. By the way, I look like I'm Halloween. You should see me in a grocery store. I look beat up from the floor up. If you would see me in the store, these masks, I'm gonna wear
That's
masks the rest of my life. I swear to God. I swear to God. I swear to God. I'm never gonna not wear masks ever in my life.
It'll become a trend, and for all the right reasons. I mean, I'm Japanese, and when we were sick growing up, you wore a mask. It was, man, like that was just best practices. It's going to end up becoming such a trend, like you said. If I feel like wearing a mask and we are 20 years past this pandemic and I just don't want you to notice who I am, or I don't want you to see what I look like.
We're wearing a mask. And by the
Wear a mask.
way, y'all, men are nasty. Like, people are complaining about washing their hands in Purell. I always stayed stacked with some Purell in my pocket.
Isn't that crazy? I was talking about that too. Like, okay, wait. So at some point, your hygiene and your sanitation should have already been important. And when I keep seeing people like yelling at folks for having their mask pulled down when they're running, or people that are very just like hyper scared of COVID now, I think they might be the same people who didn't really wash their hands or don't know enough about how germs work. I mean, listen, there's
All
scientific studies on
day.
all of it, Justin. Like, but if you already washed your hands and kept super clean, knock on wood that you and I don't get COVID after this conversation, but like, you be all right if you literally just stay sanitary and keep up with your hygiene.
I don't know how I didn't get COVID.
What do you mean?
I just have no clue. Like, in full, like, I'm going to go all out and say the truth.
Yeah.
I went to Cynthia Bailey's wedding in Atlanta,
Right.
and the wedding was fine.
Yeah.
It was They
But
were COVID protocoled.
yeah.
I felt safe. I felt clean. But Atlanta was a free for all,
Okay. Tennessee too. I mean, a lot of states now.
free for all.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Oh, I don't wipe my groceries down anymore." I was that dumb. I was wiping groceries down. I was
I think everybody
Cloroxing like
was.
apples.
Yeah.
I was hardcore in the beginning. And then right around August, I was like, you know what? My ultimate goal was to make it to my birthday in November without getting COVID,
Mm,
because I didn't want to get it twice. That was
sure.
my thought process.
Yeah.
But now that I've made it to like Jan 19th, I'm like, I'm Gucci.
Right.
I
We're
might
gonna
be.
we're gonna stay Gucci.
We're gonna stay Gucci.
Justin, I want to know about a little bit more about your time in Hollywood, especially from the reporting angle of things. Has there been anything that you've discovered about yourself while you're interviewing celebrities all the time? You're constantly reporting on a lot of it through the studio in Universal City, but through the show alone, Daily Pop, and or your podcast, Just the Sip. I mean, are you discovering more and more about Justin Sylvester as you continue interviewing people who, like you said, are the glitz and glam of Hollywood and kind of those in the A-listing ranks?
Yeah, that I need to be independently wealthy.
Why did I see that coming? Okay, but you're
The
right.
shit that rich people say,
Yeah.
like, there's like an ease to things that come out of their mouths when they know, like, there's just something very like, Morgan Stewart is very wealthy.
Yeah.
She's wealthy. She's about to marry wealthy. She's wealthy.
Her
She's
baby's gonna be
fine.
wealthy.
Her
Right.
baby's gonna be wealthy. There's an ease at which Morgan Stewart talks about life. And I just want to know that ease. Like,
Yeah.
I want to know what it feels like to have that cushion.
Mm,
And the Jennifer Lopez's of America when they talk about things, it's not about the next album sales and the money they're going to make off the album sales. It's about like breaking another record for themselves. Like, I want to sell out 300 shows in Vegas next time, or I want to. It's like this thing where like these impossible, you know, these impossible milestones that may be impossible to us, they've done, and now they're looking to do the next biggest thing. And
Right.
that's how I want to talk about life. I want to talk
Hmm.
about milestones like I'm talking about riding a bike from Century City to West Hollywood. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Like I just want to be. I want that white lady je ne sais quoi.
Come on.
You know what I mean? Like just like, oh hi. Like I just like the way. I don't know. It's weird. It's
You're on the way
weird.
up. Come on. Give yourself more
Yeah.
credit. You're already halfway there, if not all the way. Come, I think that a lot of that milestone reaching has to just be from the goals that you're setting. Like you said, be ready, stay ready. And I think you are doing that.
Yeah, but I'm a wild cat. That's the problem. I
What
get
do you
too
mean?
comfortable. I get too comfortable saying like exactly what's on my mind. And in this cancel culture of it all,
Mm.
you know what I mean? Like people can get on Twitter tomorrow and be like, we didn't like what he said. And spread a fraction of the information, and I would be judged based on that one thing. We
Yeah,
saw
that
a
one
lot of
tweet or,
people.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I could say one thing wrong. I've seen someone on live TV mix up a word, like mix up two words, like say one word out of order, and it got taken out of context, and then all of a sudden the Twitter storm started, and that person no longer is at his or her post. So I see and I understand and I appreciate why a lot of people in my industry
Sure.
go with the
Sure.
ordinary, which I might try to do at some point in my life because it's just easier.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's working for you now, being a what you call a wildcat. Come on, it's working.
Until it doesn't, and then
Come
you're gonna
on,
be
but you're
like,
gonna have 7 or 8 other options in the bag, so it don't matter, right? God will put you where He's gonna put you.
I don't know, bitch. Just cancel culture is
I,
deep.
I know, especially in Hollywood.
It's deep. It's easy too. It is easy to cancel somebody right now.
We're gonna knock on wood on that one too. Move right along, my friend. During your career and your life now, Justin, I wanted to see if you had some thoughts here. Uh, when we live life and when we're constantly walking forward through it, we continue to think about building that best version of ourselves. I allude to that a lot during this show. I always want to end the show on hopefully inspiring other people to continue building that best version of themselves, you know? But for you, as a proud gay Black man now sitting where you are at E and everywhere, everything else you're doing, if you had to think of now how you're able to prove yourself as Justin Sylvester to yourself, being that honest man that you are, um, what does that look like to you now?
It's strange. It is, you know, a lot of people ask me all the time if when I walk out on stage, do I ever get nervous to interview somebody or to, be live on live TV every day for a whole hour. And I always tell them, if you're being yourself, that's the most comfortable person you can be.
Mm,
So if you're nervous on air, that means that you're not finding your center. You are not being the person that you are meant to be. And when you're acting, you're nervous because you don't want to flub a line, you don't want to mess up, a thing. But if you're just sitting there and you're being you, you're gonna be fine. When I walk on stage every single day, I think to myself that I'm gonna go sit with Carissa, my friend. I'm gonna go
yep.
sit with Morgan, my friend, and we're gonna just talk. And people are gonna listen in on it. Just a Sip is the same way.
Yeah.
Just a Sip is a bigger extension of that because I feel like there's no filter. You can say whatever you want.
Not
We're
even a
not gonna
pop filter
not even
on
a
the
nope, not even a pop filter, not even a pop filter. Say whatever you damn well please. And if you feel offended by a question, you can ask me the same one. And I am just the right person.
Yep.
And that's just who I am as a person. When I'm around people I love, that I can be myself, I just feel like you're just comfortable in that position. So find a place and find a job that makes you feel comfortable,
Mm,
but at the same time inspires you to be more ambitious. Like
yep.
I I think the nastiest word to call somebody in like the English language is lazy.
Shoo.
And for me, when people call me hungry, people used to call me hungry because I was, that's like the shady word for ambitious. Like, yeah,
Right.
I'm hungry.
Or
I'm
like
hungry.
opportunist. Like we've all heard,
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, he's hungry. He's
right.
hungry. And I'm like, yeah, I'm hungry. I will never eat off your plate, but I'm hungry and I'm hungry for more. And you always have to like literally have that pit in your stomach. Like, I have a thought every 6 months that I'm not doing enough.
Mm. What do you then do to activate on that? Because I think a lot of times we've been hearing from a lot of people who tune into the show, and then I mean, I think I would struggle with it as well. People who I know in our industry struggle with this. When you are telling yourself you're not doing enough, but really you might be doing just enough. What do you tell yourself to then kind of like act forward accordingly so that you don't lose your mind?
I look at my bank account and I realize that it's not big enough. I ain't got to say shit. Okay. I don't have to
Yeah.
say anything. I don't have to say nothing. You know, I think the worst thing somebody can do is compare themselves to somebody else.
Hmm.
I really think that's like the worst thing that you can do
Mm,
is honestly compare yourself to somebody else. But I also think it's a good reality check for you. If there is somebody in your life that is two steps away, maybe you're not friends with that person, but you know them, you know their business, like you understand their industry. And if that person, there's if that person is three steps ahead of you and you guys are the same age and you've started at the same place
yeah.
and you've kind of sort of had the same trajectory, but that person is three steps ahead of you,
Hmm.
then it's time to light a fire under your ass. And I don't say this quite often. I don't compare myself to anybody because I know when you compare yourself to people, you
Yeah.
often get the information wrong. Like people think that I sit at eat 5 days a week and I'm making a shit ton of money. I'm getting paid good. I'm comfortable. I I like it. I'm comfortable, but you should never just be comfortable.
Right.
Is the thing. So a lot of people might look at me and say, "Oh my God, that guy's making a lot of money. That guy's
Mm,
on TV 5 days a week. He's doing all these different projects, and he is getting himself to this place. Like I need to do that. I need it." And yeah, you do, but you
mm,
also need to realize that I'm still in the climb moment.
yeah.
I'm not sliding down and enjoying my life. I'm still climbing. And I'm looking at the person three steps in front of me as well, but
Yeah.
I'm looking at it through a realistic lens. Get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Pick that person, pick that one person,
Mm,
and just get the facts right, and just make sure that that person is never like if that person's three, not one, because somebody's always gonna be one step ahead of you, not two, but three steps ahead of you in the game that you're in. You need to tighten it up and keep it going.
tighten it up and keep it going. Always be ready, stay ready, and show up to FedEx prepared. Justin Sylvester, I can't thank you enough for saying yes, for coming on this podcast, for being yourself
Anytime.
and sharing that with the world 5 days a week. And until we're able to have you on in person, and when I can see you in person, be it LA or New York City, we will continue to
Right?
watch you on E Daily Pop weekdays at 11 a.m. on E. And we'll continue listening to your podcast, Just the Sip, wherever anybody wants to listen to podcasts hosted by yours truly, Justin Sylvester. And then also, we love Instagram. We didn't get to talk too much about Instagram, but we know you got the memes out the bag,
Ooh,
right?
oh, yes. I think I'm about to. I need to. Honestly, the lady sitter has been really fun,
We love it.
and I'm gonna keep her. But I feel like I need a thirstier page. Like
You
I'm
should.
just like not
That's
attracting. We all need that thirsty
we do
page,
need that thirsty. Yeah, bring the
and I
thirsty
feel
page
like
out.
now that I'm like I'm kind of sort of doing some things with the Today Show.
Yes, you are.
So now I can't be in a thong.
I
on my
know.
Instagram.
I know. Well, you
So now
could
I gotta
open an
make a
OnlyFans. OnlyFans is a
I'm not giving no. We're not
come
throwing up a more
on.
Memorial Day
But
sale.
listen. But you gotta get creative. I don't know. Listen, if you were gonna open up another Instagram page, I mean, just keep it classy. You can do it. You know what to do.
No, freedom of expression.
You're right. You're right. You call me when you open that Instagram page, and we'll help you promote the hell out of it. But listen, for all the things that you're doing, not only congratulations, but thank you. Seriously. I've enjoyed every second of this conversation. We can keep it going. I want to talk more about SEC with you. We can talk off the record about that because our
Oh my
schools
God,
were
right?
party schools. Okay. And I think that like between LSU and UT, that teaches you a lot and a lot in the 4 years that you're there. But until next time, my friend, and to everybody who's listening, thank you for being here. And the show means everything in terms of what we hear back from you guys. So if you would leave a rating and review, that'd be much appreciated. And trust me when I say we read everything. We do pride the show on building based on the people who tune in. And Justin, again, you're the best. Everybody will be
Thank
back next
you.
week with someone who is at Justin's caliber. I got to say, we can't beat it. Having another Justin on the show and someone who has done so many incredible things and continues to stay his authentic self. So this has been the Men of the Hour, and I can't thank you enough, my friend.
Anytime. Oh my God, this is great. You have a good thing going here.